Hey everyone, it's Carly. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my December wrap-up. So this month I actually read a total of 15 books. That is one of the best I've done this year, and I'm really happy to be finishing off with 15 books this year. So I read a lot of ebooks because I got my Kindle, and I really love my Kindle now. It's like my heart. Not more physical books, so I have to make that more of a goal for 2020 to read more physical books, but anyway, I'm just gonna jump right in. The first book that I read was Orpheus Girl. I didn't really like this as much. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This was a lot like The Miseducation of Cameron Post, where they both just focus on like concentration camps and two queers being sent away because they're not gonna be together. It's kind of like a novella because it was really short and I was able to finish it in one day. And this was also for the Read Your Gauge Readathon that was hosted by Boston, the holiday edition one this time. I just kind of like lost my interest like in the middle of the book, and I think it's my own fault just because I wasn't really like into it. But it was still a good book and had a good message. So the second book that I read in December was Heartstopper Volume 2. Obviously you guys know my obsession with this book. This is just a continuation on with the series. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, so clear I was going to do that. I cried over this. I loved it. It's just a continuation on to the series, and Volume 3 comes out in 2020 and Volume 4 comes out in 2021, I'm pretty sure. And I'm so excited to get my hands on all of those because I just love the series. I will shout this from the rooftops how much I love and support this book, and then the author is just so good. And this basically just follows more on Nick's point of view with his sexuality and him struggling with it, which that kind of hit close to home with me because I am bisexual, and that kind of reminded me a lot when I was younger, struggling with my sexuality. And so it was a really good eye-opener, and I think everybody needs to read this book because it was just so fucking good. So the next book that I read is one that I don't shut up about, and it's for a good reason. My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren, and I finally have a physical copy of it. I've been dying to get my hands on a physical copy. I am just so fucking happy. I love this book so much. It is literally a friends to lovers, and it's done so perfectly. I love it so much. It's about this girl named Millie, and she has like a group of guy friends, so it's like girls can have guy friends in this book. Get on that level. So basically Millie is like a professor, and then her guy friends are like professors as well, and they all have like this cute like little like friendship, and she hooks up with one of the guys in the group, and they all have to like They keep it quiet for one, but before that they all have to make like a dating app to wait for like this ball that they're going to or something like that for their job. And Millie makes like a fake one in order to get to the guy she hooked up with in the friend group, and it's just so fucking cute. It was done so well. I'm not explaining it too well just because I did read this in the beginning of the year and I'm kind of blanking on it, so I'm definitely gonna have to reread this in like January or something like that because I miss it so much. I read this on audiobook and I read this in a day, which is so unusual for me, but I loved it that much. I loved it so much. Literally, if you take anything from this video, go read this fucking book because it was magnificent. The next book I read was also for the Read Your Gaze, and that was Bloom, and I gave that a 4.5 out of 5 stars. That one was really cute. It was kind of slow for me to get into. It's about this kid, and he is, I want to say gay, and he is basically a baker for his parents' bakery, and he's not really like liking that because he kind of wants to go do his own thing, and like I think he wants to start a band with his friends. Could be blanking on the wrong thing, but he wants to like go start a band with his friends and move away. But he meets this new guy that he like kind of like falls in love with, and he starts working at the bakery with him, so it kind of makes him like have to like shift what he wants to do. But this is really cute, really heartbreaking, and it's just like it was really cute. I was really surprised by it because I think it's been on my TBR for like a while now, and I finally got around to reading it thanks to my library. But I really did enjoy my time. It was really cute. The next book that I read this month was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I did not realize I read this month. I thought it was like last month because I can't believe I read this so long ago. This literally took me like I feel like half the month, but apparently it didn't because I must have read it this month. So I gave this a 3 out of 5. I read this on ebook. I finally got a physical copy that I damaged with fucking water, and I wish I liked this as much as I didn't. I wish I liked this more than I did because there were some parts in the book that I thought was cute and I liked it, but then there's also parts in the book where I was just like boring. Like there was a lot of history talk, a lot of politics talk. I wasn't really into that. The characters I definitely will remember for a while because they're very smutty. They were very funny, and it did have a little bit of smut in there. I did like that part too as well. It's a male-male relationship if you guys didn't know. He is the prince, and he's the Prince of England. He's like the new, I'm blanking on the name, but his mother is running for president in America, and he is Prince Henry of England? Yeah. And they're like, they hate each other at first, like enemies to lover, and then they end up like falling in love, and it kind of happened really fast. That's also a thing that I didn't really like, but basically it was just him kind of coming to his senses that he is into guys. So he's bisexual. There's bisexual rep in this, and it was really cute for the most part, and yeah, I just wish I liked it more, but I didn't. The next book is a female-female romance, and this one actually took me by surprise. It was Tinsel by Chris Brandt, Bryant. And I got this gifted to me by Boston here on YouTube, and it was so good. It was what I needed because I was kind of feeling sloppy. I was trying to get through some NetGalley backlists and I wasn't really having a good time. And then Boston gifted this to me and it was such a good time. It was literally like a Christmassy romance, and that's the only Christmas book I read this month because I don't really like Christmas books. But anyway, it's about this girl and she has just recently broken up with her girlfriend, and she sees like this cat outside. The cat follows her home, and so she has to take the cat to like the vet to get all checked out and stuff like that. And she's not like a cat person. She's never had a cat before. And so she take the cat to the vet. She like has like a run-in with the doctor there, and it's like kind of like an enemies to lover in like a very little like way, because at first she doesn't like the doctor because the doctor kind of seems like an asshole, but then they kind of keep finding ways to find each other, and they keep finding ways to see each other, and it was really, really cute. I loved it from beginning to end. It was a novella by the way as well, because it was a very short book, but it was really good. I really loved it, and yeah, it basically just goes on from there. It's happily ever after that. The next book is one of my all-time favorites too, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. You guys know my obsession with this and my favorite Half Night Stand. These are my favorite books of the month, like no doubt. This is like the best enemies to lovers I think I've ever seen done in a book. So angsty, so like slow burn, so good. Office romance too, oh my god, loved it from beginning to end. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, listened to an audiobook, and I just fucking loved it. That's only thing you need. Just read those two books that I told you about. You just need to. Got this girl named Lucy, and she works for a company, and across from her is a guy named Joshua, and they fucking hate each other. And it's just so cute because like little things. It's like the little things in the book. You have to read it to get it, but it's just like they hate each other, and then they just do everything to piss each other off. And everybody in the office knows they hate each other, and it's just like little tiny things, like she would go on a date with this guy and he wouldn't like it, and it's just like, oh, so good. I just want myself a Joshua. Like, it was just so cute. I loved it so much. I just can't. It was just so fucking good. Next book that I actually really was surprised by, that I actually really liked, and that was Summer of Salt. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I read this on ebook on Kindle Unlimited. I really enjoyed this. I had this on my TBR. I think this is like my first thing on my Amazon wishlist actually. For like the longest time, I finally took it off because I was like, I have a ebook copy of it. I'll just read it on there. But going into this, I did not know too much about it besides that it was kind of had a queer representation and it had magic. And I've never really read a magic-y book, but this was magical realism, and holy shit, I actually really loved it. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars if I didn't say that already. But yes, I loved it. It was magical realism about these two sisters. One has powers, one is struggling to get hers. And it's just like they're obsessed with this bird named Annabelle. And basically all these bird heads, what they're called, they come to like their hotel that they have running every year to find Annabelle. And this year something goes wrong. And it's just so much like, it's like a thriller with magical realism, with LGBTQ plus rep. And it was just double chef's kiss. It was so good. Next book on one that I really didn't like this month was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. In 2020, I'm trying to read all Christina Lauren books, so this is another one that I read, but I didn't really like it, but I just pushed through anyway. And it's like a dual timeline, which is like my first dual timeline book that I read. It starts in France, I want to say, where Sam and Tate is a girl and Sam is the guy, and they like meet. It's kind of like love at first sight kind of thing. There's teenagers. He's like 21, she's like 18, and they kind of like fall in love. They keep hanging out like the entire time in France, and they just kind of like open up to each other. And she opens up to Sam about how she is a daughter of a famous actor, and then shit goes wrong, and he basically like tells the press her what she told him, and so she has to leave like France or London or whatever it is she's at, and she has to go back home. And then it goes back to like years later where they're like 30 and he's like something, I don't know, but basically now she's on a set making a movie and she doesn't realize the screenwriter is Sam, so they kind of have to like rekindle a romance. And it's just like, it was very bleh. It was very serious. I didn't really like it. There wasn't any like smutty angst in it. I mean, some people really liked it, some people really didn't, and I'm part of the ones that really didn't like it, but that's just my opinion. I'm just kind of disappointed in this. I hope that their new release in 2020, it will be better, because this just didn't do it for me. So the next few books are the ones where they start to get really fucking weird. This is in the part where I start doing the Kindle Unlimited readathon, and I start reading some really weird sexual books, so just buckle up. First one I read is Ice Planet Barbarians. I gave this no rating because I didn't know how to fucking rate this, so get this. Okay, ready? It's about this girl. She's abducted by aliens, and she is abducted with a bunch of other girls. Trigger warning for rape and abduction because it made me uncomfy, and I don't get too triggered by that kind of stuff, but that actually kind of did this time around. I don't know why, I just did, but Basically, they're abducted by aliens. The alien ship crashes. She escapes to go find help, and then she gets herself caught into like a trap, and she meets like this barbarian who she calls an alien for like half the book, till she realizes he's a fucking barbarian, and he's like a velvety purple dude. And the scene starts off when she's waking up with him going down on her, and I'm just like, kind of rapey-ish. I didn't know if I liked that. I don't know if you're supposed to like that part in the book, but I kind of didn't. And basically he has like knobs on his tongue and on his ding dong, and it's just like, okay. And basically they just hook up for half the book. They have to go and try and find the rest of the girls in the ship, and yeah, it's just very fucking weird. I couldn't give it a rating because I didn't know how to rate it. It was just very weird and not my cup of tea, but I don't know if I'll be reading the next book because I don't know if I'm going to put myself through that torture. Next book is actually a normal one. It's called New England Life. This is actually a NetGalley arc that I had months ago that I finally just now got around to reviewing, and I read it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I read it on my ebook as well. It's about this girl. Her name is Cassie. She recently struggled with breast cancer, and now she's in her term of recovering, and she is going into becoming a tattooer, and she's worked for this other girl who's had breast cancer, and so she goes to a new shop because that girl knew that girl. Her name is MJ, and the other girl's name is Dan, something like that, and Zan, yeah. And Zan had breast cancer, and then so she told her to go to MJ, and MJ's kind of like, I don't want to fucking have you work for me because you're going to be an apprentice. You're not that good. And she just thinks she's like some prissy prude. Like she has like girly stuff on. Like she doesn't really like wear like tattoos out and whatnot. But like, so basically she's like, okay, fine, I'll hire you. And so she works as apprentice and like as like the front desk person and all that kind of stuff. Basically after that they kind of start to get closer, and she's like, I'm not going to be able to tattoo until I get my test results back in May because she doesn't want to start a new life without knowing if her old life with breast cancer is done. And so basically it's all from that, and MJ is supposed to be like helping her kind of get a backbone, try to make her stop caring what other people think because she cares way too much what people think, and she's having MJ help her while she's also helping her with her business because she used to work at like a law firm or used to work in an office where she used to do budget and numbers and stuff like that. So she's helping MJ with her shop because her shop's doing really, really bad, getting a lot of bad reviews because MJ used to work with her ex, and her ex is kind of like throwing her under the bus now, trying to give her bad reviews just so it upped her shop. So it's a lot that goes on, but it's like really good. I like laid in bed for hours and got lost in this book, and it was like a really good time. I really loved it, and it was very hard hitting because in parts of the book I really felt myself connect with Cassie, and it's like an enemies to lovers. And I'm really surprised because nobody's ever really heard about this book. I'm the only one that's like really read this book on my Goodreads or even ever in my booktube on booktube. So I want to get the hype out for this author and for this series because it was really well done, and it has good representation for LGBTQ+ and for breast cancer awareness and just stuff like that, and it was very hard hitting. And I will also leave my review down below for this because I really did like it and I wrote a good review, and I also emailed the author for an arc for their second book coming out, and I'm getting it. I'm so excited. So if you guys take anything from this video, as again, read those 3 books that I just told you about. 3 books. Next book is one that was another disappointment, and I heard about this from Riley Marie, and that was No Room at the Inn. I gave this a 1.5 out of 5 stars. I also read it on my ebook. This was a very, very smutty, literally it was porn, I'm not gonna lie. It was a female-female relationship where this girl gets stranded at her hotel that she works at because of a flood that's going on outside of her hotel, and she couldn't make it home. And she's like subbed on with like this girl, like they play together for like a year, and then they have to end up staying in the same hotel room together, and obviously shit goes on from there, and it's literally just them hooking up throughout the book and then them falling in love with each other, and it was just like not really I wanted to go, and I didn't care for the characters. They were both very annoying, and that's it. The next book was one I actually did kind of like, and that was Preacher Man. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I read this last book and the rest of these books for the Kindle Limited readathon. You guys can see my vlog. I'll link it up in the cards, wherever that's at. It was so good. I liked it. So Preacher Man is about this guy who's a preacher, and he is not a preacher because he's actually a fucking hitman. He used to be working in the mafia, but now he's a preacher because he's built his own church and whatnot. This girl says she has a demon in her. Mom swears she has a demon in her, but really it's just her being like horny and just wanting some sex, and that's really it. But so they kind of have like this angst going on, and he would like stand outside her window and like and it was just like it was fucking crazy. It was really good though. Like it had me laughing, and it had me like it was a little much sometimes. But basically it's them, she has to go get baptized to get the demon out of her. And basically he's like, okay, this is not working. Like, she's doing it in front of the entire church. He's like, okay, this is not working. I have to go take her into the back in my office and to do another exorcism or whatever. So he takes her to the back office. Things start to go down. Mom's outside the fucking window, and then I don't think Mom knows that they were kissing and stuff like that, so she like yanks her out the window, takes her home, and so he has to come over to do an exorcism on her, but really the exorcism is them just like hooking up, and Mom's outside the door like, yeah, let's get the demon out of her, and it's like, this is not actually happening. And so it's like, he opens the door, he's like, I'm taking her with me, and she like throws her money and like takes her, and so then they end up like living together and like hooking up, and like they're married. This is all happening in like 24 hours. This is a novella, by the way, as well. The last one was a novella as too, and gets married with her in 24 hours to come back to the church and to tell everybody that they're like married. And then the mafia guys start coming and like shooting at him, and then he is like kills them, whatever, and then they hook up in the forest with dead bodies around them, and the church comes and watches them, and it's just like, okay. It was fucking wild. I enjoyed my time though. It was a really good book. The ending was very cute actually, so there's that. That was a interesting ride. Next one was another interesting one that was Grading Curves, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a kind of a slower one, which I didn't really like, but this is a professor-teacher romance, and this girl, another tattoo thing. It's a girl, her name is Nikki. She goes to get a tattoo, and basically she gets like really turned on, because apparently people can get really turned on by tattoos. I did not know that. And the guy's tattooing her. He's like really cute, bad boy type, Dean. His name is Dean, and he's younger. He's a student, and she's a professor, and so they kind of like hook up almost, and at the tattoo shop in the tattoo chair. And then she like leaves because somebody interrupts them. It's his sister. And so she like leaves. The next day she's starting her new job because she just recently moved here. And she's starting her new job as a professor. And he's in the class because he promised his mom, who is sick and dying, that he would go to college. And so he goes to college, and they see that they're a professor and student. And it's just like, obviously it's not going to work out. But and honestly, I hate that people mark this book as professor and student dating, because it's really not, because he kind of actually like stops going to school there just so they can be together. And so it is kind of more of a like, it's not too smutty, it's not too kinky, it's more kind of appropriate-ish, not really. But after that, it's just kind of all like they're together, all that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of like, I wasn't really like wanting that. It's just it's whatever. And they weren't even that like difference in age either, so whatever. And the last book, another book that I love this month, was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. My goal for 2020 is to now read all Penelope Douglas books, backlist, new books, all that, because she actually has a new one coming out. But anyway, Punk 57 is about Misha and Ryan, and Misha's a guy and Ryan's a girl, and their teachers thought that they were both the opposite genders of what they actually are, and so they set them up as pen pals in 5th grade, and basically they continue talking all through the next 11 years, I want to say, until they're like seniors in high school. And basically they just like tell each other everything, like crushes, everything you can think of. They know each other from the back of the hand, and they never met each other. That was one of their rules, is that they could never meet each other, they can never look each other up on social media. They have each other's addresses, but they're not allowed to go and like see them. So it was like a lot of like, it was so different than what I was going into. I was thinking it was just like plainly about that, but it's literally like a bully romance. Starts off the book is that Ryan's at this like scavenger hunt party for Misha's band, but she doesn't know it's Misha, and he runs into her because he hears somebody say her name, and he's like, oh my god, is that my Ryan? And like they talk, they take pictures together, but little does she know it's him. And so after that, he's kind of like angry because she's not who she says she is, because she's kind of like an asshole, just because she's struggling with a lot of her own things, and that's just kind of, she only let him see the good parts of her instead of like all the parts, including the bad. And I kind of like thought that was kind of cute, and kind of not cute, but like I kind of like felt myself the same way. And so kind of like really angry at her. After this, like couple months go by, like 2 months or something like that, and he's like an angry guy now. He's like really mad and upset with his life because a lot of things has happened in his life with his sister, with his dad, with his mom, and stuff like that. And so he's like really upset and mad, and he starts to show up at her school and kind of starts to like go by a different name, which was Mason Laurent instead of his regular name, and starts to like hang out with her and like seduce her, and things just happen. And like in the ending of the book, obviously things come clean, and it's just like, this was like a fucking roller coaster of a ride of emotions, and I was so happy, I was so upset, I was like screaming. I just like, I love this book so much. It took me like 2 days to read. I could have finished it a lot sooner if I didn't have a lot of plans, but this was so good. I can't like recommended enough, and I am aware that there's obviously scenes in this book that would be considered problematic, and I was recommended by Chandler, not her physically, but like from her video. It sounded like a really good time, and she even said herself that she knows a lot of problematic elements in this book, but it still was a good book overall. Like, a lot of it could seem like very like pushy of the guy, like forcing himself on her in a way. I know. So this is just a trigger warning for that if you're kind of like hesitant with books like that. But overall, it was so fucking good. Like, the romance was good, the sex scenes were really good too, like, and it's set in high school, and it was just so good. I loved it. It was like the bad girl, bad boy, and her not being who she says she is, her having like a bad side to her, and it's just like it was so crazy. Like, I want to relive this again because I miss it already, and I just finished it like yesterday. I just want to relive it already. So that actually wraps up my December wrap up. That was 15 books. That was insane. I had a really good reading month, and I can only hope that this is how my 2020 reading months are gonna go. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a big like, subscribe down below to join the family, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.